What is up everyone, and welcome to my first video on Ethan Cooks the World. Today we are going to be making a homemade banana cake. The first thing that we are going to want to do is we are going to want to mash the bananas. Preferably you will want to be using brown bananas, but I do not have those today. So let's get mashing. One other thing that I should mention guys before we get started is make sure to preheat your oven to 180 degrees fan forced. First off, we are going to need 3 bananas. Now, as for mashing the bananas, you can use anything you want in terms of a fork or something that can mash this. I preferably like to use a potato masher as it gets the job done pretty quickly. I will point out that a lot of people tend to stop when their banana looks a bit like this. You don't want to stop here, you want to keep on going until it's pretty much almost a liquidy sludge. As you can see, the texture that we want is a sort of porridge-like or baby food texture. You can now transfer this to a different bowl. The next step is going to be making the batter. We will need to add 125 grams of softened butter into a bowl, half a cup of brown sugar, and half a cup of caster sugar. As for mixing this in, don't use a whisk or anything as the butter will get caught up inside the whisk and it will make it very slow and hard. Instead, try using a spatula or a spoon. You're going to want to mix the mixture until it is soft and pale. Also, do make sure that there are no chunks of butter left in and all the sugar is mixed through thoroughly. So as you can see, now the sugar mixture is completely soft and smooth, and of course it is pale. The next step is going to be adding 2 eggs. Add one at a time and mix in one at a time as well. Mix this in until well combined and you can't see any yolks or whites anymore. This is what you want it to look like after adding 1 egg. Now we'll add the second egg. Again, mix in until we have what we had before. After adding the second egg, a short while after that, you'll begin to see that the mixture is getting a lot more sloppier and also slips around the bowl a bit more. This means that the egg has started to combine with the mixture properly. Keep on mixing until you have this sort of gluggy batter. It should look very grainy and a bit lumpy sort of. Once the 2 eggs have been mixed in properly, your mixture should look like this. The next step is going to be adding the mashed banana from before and also the vanilla extract. So here we have the 3 bananas that have been mashed. We'll add those in now. And then we're going to want to add half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Mix this mixture until well combined. Depending on how ripe or how soft your bananas were, your mixture might look a bit lumpy. Again, don't worry because you're always going to have a few lumps from the banana and also the sugar mixing with the eggs. Once the banana and the vanilla extract have been added, your mixture should look something like this. Runny yet lumpy, but also sort of batter-like. The remaining few steps are going to be sifting the self-rising flour into the mixture that we have. I forgot to mention before that this is 1.5 cups of self-raising flour. After sifting in the self-raising flour, we want to add half a teaspoon of Bicarb-Soda. Now mix in thoroughly until this is all combined into a nice batter. One thing that I will point out is when mixing the flour in, make sure that you really dig up from the middle up to the top because there can be air bubbles containing flour that hasn't been mixed in. You don't want this flour just sitting there, so make sure you always check to see if there's any flour underneath the mixture itself. If there is, continue mixing until combined. Once all the flour and the Bicarb-Soda has been mixed in, it will, as you can see, be much more like a batter now instead of a runny mixture. It will look like this. The last ingredient to add is 3 tablespoons of normal full cream milk. Mix this together until at a dropping consistency. One thing to take note on is now that you've added the milk, it will make the consistency of the batter a little bit more runny and droppier. That's not a word, we're going to ignore that, I just said that. This will give you the ability to check if there are any remaining flour bubbles underneath the mixture. As the consistency is now more runny, it will be easier to find those if there are any remaining. Once the batter is complete, make sure you have a small sort of medium-sized baking tray ready. Make sure you have it lined with some baking paper as well. This is the perfect sort of tin that you want for banana bread or banana cake or anything to do with that sort of cakey sort of bread-like shape. Make sure to spread it to all the edges and make sure that it is not just in the middle, that you have spread it around evenly everywhere. You can also bang the batter on your tabletop to make sure it spreads evenly. Now you're going to want to go ahead and add it into your oven that has been preset to 180 degrees fan forced. Now we just have to wait 45 minutes or until it's a nice brown banana bread color. Alright, so now the banana cake has finished baking. Alright, in order to make the banana cake cool a bit quicker, you might want to remove it from its baking tin. I'd recommend doing this with 2 people, but you can do it by yourself. Once you have removed the banana cake from its mold or baking tray, it will be a lot easier for it to cool. Now for the moment of truth, we'll be cutting through the middle of the banana cake. As you can see, I've cut a slice out of the banana cake here, and it is almost just on the edge of being too soft, as it can be cooked a bit more. A tip for you guys, you don't want it to be too soft, but you also don't want it to be too hard. With banana cake, the outside will always look pretty crusty and pretty dark, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be burnt on the inside. As you can see with this loaf here, it looks still quite raw down the bottom here, but I think I've cooked it just to the point where it's not too little and it's not too much either. It's just on the borderline of being too little. Now I'll have a taste test. And that is perfect. Honestly, some would say that that's maybe just a bit too soft. Honestly, I don't like having my banana cake too hard or too dry. Like this, it's nice and perfect. It's not too soggy. It's not to the point where you can still taste that it's got a batter feeling to it, but it's just perfect. That's going to be all for today, folks. If you guys did enjoy this first video on my channel, don't forget to go leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Share it around, because I will be doing heaps more videos on here in the future. I hope you guys will have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.